Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to VetSecCon 23. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce someone who has become a friend of mine over the years, a fellow VetSec member. She was in VetSec longer than I've been around as the board chair, but she is currently the Senior Applications Security Architect at service-disabled veteran-owned small business Aquia. She's the Chief Operating Officer at a charity, Teach Kids Tech. And she's one of the hosts on the Cyber Queens podcast, where I got the opportunity to promote VetSecCon last week. And she's one of the original VetSecers. So it is my pleasure to welcome our keynote speaker for VetSecCon today, Maril Vernon. Maril, thank you so much.
Hello, good morning. Thank you so much for having me and for that wonderful introduction.
Absolutely. I am just going to let us get right to it, and I'm going to turn everything over to you and enjoy.
All right. Thank you. And thank you all. Thank you all so much for being here for my speech today. I am both honored and elated to be standing here as the keynote speaker for VetSecCon 2023, especially with the nostalgic theme of throwback. Before we get started, I just wanted to thank my employers so much, Aquia, my service-disabled veteran owners, Dave, Chris, and John, for letting me speak here today to you all. This org is very near and dear to my heart. So with that theme, throwback, for me, this invited a pretty profound reflection on, our individual journeys into cyber, the challenges we have to overcome, and the heights that we can reach in the ever-evolving world of cybersecurity. But speaking of throwbacks, my journey into cyber is always a very hot topic. I am someone who, if you're not familiar with me, I almost never feel out of my depth. I am someone who comes in and I adapt to new situations so well. Even my very first day in ROTC at a lead lab in a military-like environment, cold, I often feel confident just jumping right into new things. I am always never afraid to just get in there and try. And I did the same thing when it came to cybersecurity. Not very many people know this about me and about this part of my journey, but at the time in my life when I did join cyber, I was a single mother to a 1 and a 3-year-old, so an infant and a toddler. I was a 30-year-old who was newly living with her parents again. And honestly, I had felt lost ever since I had lost the intel career that I was meant to have after ROTC. So, every day I was like, man, I did not plan for this, right? I had a plan. I walked the plan to a T every day since I was 10 years old. Yes, I had my life plan set out at 10 years old, and this was all supposed to be taken care of for me. I was supposed to have to do no creative thinking at this point. Just supposed to show up and kill it and advance in my career. But that's not how it worked out. Instead, here I am in this situation. And at the time that I came to cyber, I was always reaching for something. I was reaching for a number of things. I wanted to be able to take care of my family without relying on my ex. I wanted to be there for the important moments in life. And I wanted fulfillment in my job. I wanted tough, challenging, creative work where I could use all of my big jazzy skills and my brain to make a difference. And I think in reflecting on those are many of the original reasons a lot of us seek out the military lifestyle to begin with. So when I leapt into cyber, I was like, this is it. There is no retreat. I have no backup plan. This is the backup plan to the backup plan to the backup plan. But breaking in for me was actually the easy part. The challenge came in figuring out how to stay here and excel here and not wash out, because I was a completely non-technical person and I had never attempted anything technical in my life. I could basically update my cell phone and that was about it. And then I waltzed in and I was like, I'm going to contribute to your information security department now. But for those of you who don't know me, that's the kind of tenacity that I have. So, the road ahead of me was uncharted. It was riddled with complexities and unknown areas, right? I was like, I don't even know where I can go in this industry. I don't know what my options are. And for me, in order to know how to get somewhere, I have to know where I'm going. So it was a time of really passionate curiosity. I was just Googling and getting into absolutely everything I could. Relentless learning. I was constantly humiliating myself and asking the stupid questions and seeking out the things that I needed to know. And I was confronting seemingly insurmountable challenges, because everything I asked, everything I attempted, I was told how much more it would take and how much I didn't have, and to sit down and be quiet and bide my time. And it was during that very formative phase of my cyber career that I found VetSec. And VetSec emerged as this beacon of support with guidance and camaraderie. The informal mentoring and insights that I gained were invaluable. They offered a clarity and a direction that I couldn't get anywhere else as I delved deeper and deeper and deeper into the world of InfoSec and eventually into the world of pen testing. So I firmly believe that this is why we need organizations like VetSec with feet in both domains, who understand how to help us navigate the private cyber industry and have the unique mental and logistical challenges that we will experience as we exit the military. So I always say that I owe a lot of my starting success to VetSec, and I truly do. It was a place where I could come and ask questions, because even though I was new to cyber, I was not new to being a leader, nor was I new to being a professional, right? We all came with these careers beforehand where we had to prove our grit and be in those trenches and work our way up. And we often get treated like very, very new people as we come into a new industry and in the private side of the industry. But we look at each other and treat each other with the respect and the tenure that our rank earns us, right? And so I knew that I would be treated with the respect of my experience, but educated from the comfort of fellow servicemen and women who understood me and understand how I think and how I take in information. So VetSec was amazing for that. And then once I was able to get the initial lay of the land from a few very key members, Elliot, Joseph, and Heath, big shout out to you three, I still owe you. I was able to take that information and really run with it. I identified where I could add the most value immediately to my org and my team, which is the very best place to start to keep a new career alive. So this was when I became the one-woman purple team, right? I looked around me immediately and said, where can I make the most temporal difference? That's going to earn me the buy-in to keep going. Then I saw how to develop niche skills and how to give myself that unfair advantage for future opportunities that I wanted to go for. So for me, that manifested in web app pen testing and cloud pen testing, which were brand new at the time. And then before I knew it, the skills and the unique profile that I had given myself was the distinguishment that I was able to use to leverage myself into very rapid career advancement, even on the private side. So I was kind of like every new team that I came onto, I was kind of like that weird guy in flight engineering who was also ex-special forces and now has like these really big badass skills and this big jazzy set of brains and is uniquely qualified for these really weird positions. So I went from being a completely non-technical noob that they would have placed in infantry because we just don't know what else to do with you, you're unskilled, to being, the 2023 Cybersecurity Woman Hacker of the Year and Pen Test Ninja of the Year and all of these things in just 4 years. Now, my journey won't look exactly like yours. In fact, there are tons of OSCPs out there who would have loved to have murdered me for the opportunities I was getting my first year in InfoSec. But what do we have in common? There are things, because as members of the armed forces, we know certain rules, right? We know what it's like to go into uncharted territory with a do or die objective. And that's often what it's like for us leaving the safety and the comfort and frankly, the rigor of the military lifestyle to seek jobs in private cybersecurity, right? We still have that need to provide for our families. We still need that service-oriented fulfillment. We still want to know that the work we do is making a difference. But in leaving the battlefield that you know for the playing field that you don't, you have forgotten what makes you great. You have forgotten what sets you apart. You have forgotten to play to your strengths. Because again, we know if we go into a fair fight anywhere at all, anytime, then we didn't prepare well enough. We know how to use those times of peace to constantly prepare for the fight ahead of us. Because that's frankly what breaking into cyber today is. It's a fight. You have to fight a disadvantaged system. You have to compete in a totally different talent pool. So what can you do? What is in your power to do to drive your own success and your own journey? You need to embrace learning. Yes, you are an authority in an area and you know a lot in your current realm. Accept, though, that you will be the student and lower on the totem pole than you're used to being on the private side of things. That's just a reality check. Cultivate a passion for learning, leverage the plethora of resources and attain the proficiency that you need to drive yourself forward and have an exit from that, an exit plan from that student place. Leverage your background. Learn to translate, please, 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 what you do and what you know and how to apply it to the private side of the industry. Don't just use terms and systems and modules and certifications found in a military environment and unit. Use common language. Demonstrate your translatable and transferable skills, and don't hide the immediate value you can bring to your organization from them. Find those anecdotes that showcase not just your role from your rank, but also your leadership style, not just the exact policy changes you made and systems you implemented, but your approach to problem solving and team collaborations and the benefits that resulted from it. Third, build a network. You will hear me say this 1,000 times because your network is your net worth. Connections are lifelines in this profession. Establish enduring relationships with mentors, peers, and other seasoned professionals, not just in your vertical, but in all the verticals, because a robust network is the key to endorsements and opportunities that wouldn't otherwise be available to you. Else, you'd have to compete in a sea of candidates, and nobody wants to be there, right? We always want to make sure we're giving ourselves that unfair advantage. Fourth, find your niche. Explore. As a military personnel, you get exposure to a lot of things that in the private side, we get siloed into very quickly. So you have a lot of applicable skills in a variety of areas that apply to a myriad of opportunities in cybersecurity. So make sure you're exploring all of those very, very well, unearthing your passions, saying where, yes, I'm applying to a role in this vertical, but I bring this peripheral experience and skills, which is going to make me even more beefy in that role. Once you unearth your passions and you can specialize, that is when, again, you can make that name for yourself. You can become that SME. And carving out a niche is not about confining your potential. It's not about pigeonholing yourself, but it's about elevating your unique perspective and solutions in this field. So don't be married to what you did before in the military. This is your chance to reinvent yourself. If you are a sysadmin function or a compliance function and you want to be in something else, this is the opportunity to learn that and to start, or get in leaning on what you know and what you have done for a decade plus really, really well, and use that to pivot and escalate later, right? Again, play to what we know. Lastly, my advice to you is to start very, very early. The earlier you start, the better. If this is something you're not just flirting with, but you're making eyes at it from across the bar, and you haven't even talked to it yet, then dive in early. Your 6-month terminal leave is not enough time to do all the research on verticals, upskill, map your experience, and market yourself to employers to find a job. It was for me, but I was a social media manager prior to entering cyber. So unless you're me or unless you're that, please start much, much earlier, a year out or more if you can. Sadly, advice like this is a reality check, right? It's a mindset adjustment. But the humble willingness to do the unsexy jobs, to spend the time learning in the weeds, to reach behind you and bring others along with you, and crafting a really, really strategic exit plan to explode in progress later, we've all been there. This is what we know. This is what we do. We've all been the snacko, right? We've all been the guy holding them up, looking in the window. So that's familiar territory in the new territory. VetSec happens to be one of those golden places where things like that are possible. So reflecting on this journey, my heart brims with absolute gratitude for organizations like VetSec and the other mentors and organizations who have taught me and helped me along the way, because there have been many. At pretty much every team that I joined, I was the most junior in experience or in age or in skill. So I see all of you out there, all of you trying to get in every day. And I am excited for you. I am excited for the future of cyber, because how do we win the fight for cyber? The same way we win fights in the military as an armed force, together, stronger together. The strength, insights, and dedication of the veteran community are like one of the best untapped reservoirs that will bring new vigor to the battle for cyberspace. So in conclusion, my thoughts gravitate towards the essence of unity, the pursuit of knowledge, the relentless innovation that each one of us embodies. So my hope and advice for you is, let's continue to inspire, to learn, to contribute to the vast world and community of cyber. And I extend my heartfelt wishes of success to all of you, all the veterans, and all the aspiring cybersecurity professionals out there. I hope your journeys are filled with many enduring accomplishments and fulfillment. And I sincerely look forward to seeing you all standing alongside me someday as we forge new frontiers in cyber together. And that is the end of my speech.
Maril, thank you so much. I'm going to jump on and help with Q&A. So if people have questions, please throw them in the chat. And if not, Maril, if you're down for just a chat with you and me for everybody.
Yeah. I'm sorry that went so quickly. I felt like, man, I'm using way too many details and I feel like I should have gone into more detail. I apologize.
No, not at all. Trust me, as somebody who's had the opportunity to do some of these, I can never time them out right.
I feel like we're all prepared to brief in as little time we're given as possible.
Well, and I don't know about you, but I'm a quick speaker. When I think I know what I'm going to say, I just kind of speed right through it. Alfred asks what the average airspeed velocity of unladen swallow is. And of course, the answer is African or European.
Yeah, I was going to say coconuts. Tie a coconut to it and we'll find out.
There you go. I'd love to hear a little bit more about the work you do at Teach Kids Tech. I'd love to hear more about the Cyber Queens and really what your motivation was for that area of your life. And just, please, promote your orgs.
Yeah. So, I'm many things. I'm a mom, I'm a veteran, but I'm also an LGBTQIA+ woman. And when we started Cyber Queens, it was because we as women in cyber couldn't find the other women in cyber. Every time we'd find one, we'd be like, oh my gosh, we should be friends. And I was like, where are the rest of us? I know we're here somewhere. We just can't find each other. And so we decided to make the podcast for people like me who are mid-career pivoters, right, into cyber from other non-technical positions and non-traditional backgrounds, and just kind of give them the real on what it's like from a woman's perspective to work in this industry, what the daily job entails, what the community is like, how many people there are, how many resources there are available to you, explore the verticals, because one of the questions we get most often is, what can I even do? Where can I even go? They don't even know what the possibilities are, what they're called. So we started the Cyber Queens to be a more inclusive path for women and LGBTQIA+ and ethnic minorities to find their way into cyber, much like VetSec does for veterans. And then Teach Kids Tech was a very natural alignment and spinoff of that. Teach Kids Tech is a 501c3 we founded to bring technology and its educational resources to children in underprivileged communities. So school systems that don't have a STEM program or even a computer science program or even a computer in the classroom, these children are going to grow up not being equipped with the start-ready skills that children from other more well-funded schools will be. So we want to make sure everyone has the skill of technology to be able to succeed in tomorrow's workforce.
That is absolutely awesome. Very cool hearing what you guys are doing. As some of the people know that got the chance to tune in, I had the joy of joining you all on the podcast last week. And just getting to speak and hear about everything you all are doing is great. Learning about the verticals was something that I think hit home for a lot of VetSec members as well, because I hear it every day. Everyone that joins wants to be a pen tester until they know what all goes into it, right? Yeah, it's awesome. There is, in as far as Teach Kids Tech goes, I don't think people really give it a lot of thought. But if you start out at that disadvantage, it can be so much harder to overcome that in the future. We talk about people coming out of the military where they're behind the curve when they find out they're separating in only 3 months, or only have a month to prepare, or they're in their late 30s trying to start a new career in a different area, right? Yeah, exactly. So very cool. Thank you so much. I've got a few questions coming in now, finally. Thanks, guys. Can you share some resources that you use to help you break in for those trying to break into the field?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of the resources, again, the breaking in part for me was easy. I leveraged what I knew about social media to leverage my military experience into a private industry opportunity. But the resources I leveraged initially to start learning my job were like the all-in-one books. In fact, I have the CISP book very close to me right now. I read the Sec Plus book in like a week. The other ones are like Pluralsight. In my opinion, the authors who put Pluralsight courses together do a really, really phenomenal job. They give you workbook takeaways. They have full transcripts if you can't watch it, but you want to read it. And they break things down in a really nice, digestible manner. So that was how I learned cloud. That was how I learned a lot of my initial pen testing skills. But for breaking in, my advice to you is to do as much information gathering as possible, right? Explore what the different verticals are. I'm a pen tester, so I don't want to hate on pen testing too much because it's a sexy job, but it's not the end all be all. It's not the only thing you can do in cyber. It's not where honestly a lot of the future opportunities are going to be. And it's not one of the easiest pieces to break into. So my advice would be to get with someone who is in a spot where you want to be and ask that person how they broke in and what skills they leveraged or what gaps they had and what they brushed up on and how they prepared for their first opportunity that set them off on their track.
Yeah, I couldn't echo that enough. For me, it was all about the network. And for me, I didn't have the social media experience. I knew that I wanted to do cybersecurity, but I didn't know what vertical. And I used VetSec. That's how I found my job, was through this field.
So for me, again, breaking in was very easy. I was in a cyber unit in the Guard. I threw that up on LinkedIn. I started promoting myself. My first opportunity came to me from LinkedIn, but as a risk analyst, right? So for me, the challenge wasn't getting my first opportunity. It was, now I'm in this technical job. Now I have the opportunity I wanted. How am I going to prove that I deserve to be here?
Absolutely. Chris, who was on our resumes and refreshments workshop last night with John, asks what field you would recommend for people getting their first job. I'm going to jump in and say, Chris, you got to figure out what it is you want to do and what you're passionate about first. And I think the rest follows that. But Maril?
Yeah, if you don't know what you want to do, but there is something you can do today to help you get paid tomorrow, I say play to those strengths. I often recommend any level of position with the word analyst in it: privacy analyst, risk analyst, compliance analyst, SOC analyst, security analyst, because as an analyst, you will get exposure to a vast variety of different data points in cyber, different functions of cyber. I grew up in risk. I was a risk analyst, so I got exposure through SOC 2, type 2 control statements and audits. And that was how I learned where many of the cyber pillars and their resulting controls families come from. So that's what I recommend. If you don't know what you want to do, identify 5 things that you're good at right now, 5 things that you're really good at, 5 skills that you have. Then identify 5 things you can get paid for, right? 5 things you can do and 5 things you can get paid for. Find the overlap. I do a lot of one-on-one sessions with people who don't know where their skills should translate to in cyber, especially initially. I always say, if you want to be a pen tester later, be an analyst now, pen test later. If you want to be a cloud security architect later, cloud security architect later. But right now, just get in somewhere so you can start learning and prove yourself. So I always say, teachers make some of the best compliance specialists. Nurses make some of the best TPMs. I can pretty much find a skill or a strength no matter who you are or what you've got going on, and identify a really intelligent place for you to start where you don't have to upskill too much. You can play to a lot of strengths you already have, and then we can fill in your gaps once you're there on the job and again, pivot and escalate you later.
Awesome. Elliot, our fellow board member, is asking, as someone who wanted to go into web app pen testing, what were your favorite technical resources?
Burp Suite Academy, which is free and gives you a lot of the skills that you need. Really, with web app pen testing, it's understanding the access vectors and like how the path differs from traditional like network C2. And that's the problem people make with cloud too. They don't understand how to pen test cloud because they're trying to do it the traditional way, when you have to reprogram your brain to be cloud native. So the OSWE was really good. Curriculum was really, really good prep. Burp Suite Academy. Very, very targeted, gamified learning and Hack the Box and Try Hack Me. Some of them are very like cloud vector specific. So you can go and find those. There's also a red teaming course out there specific to cloud. And then one of my favorite courses that I took, which is not web app, but is cloud, was Breaching the Cloud with Bo Bullock over at BHIS. He's phenomenal.
Very cool. Chris says, given the GI Bill and VetTech program available, VetTech's almost a bad word in my household, but degree versus cert when trying to get in the workforce and build that resume.
Yeah, I posted a pretty spicy post about this last week, and it launched a whole debate in the comments. So I'm not someone who's against either, right? But I just don't think they should be used as the end all be all. As someone who broke in with no certifications and no degrees, it can be done. As someone who got all the way to being a purple team program manager on nothing but a Sec Plus, it can be done. As someone who, needed a way to federally fund, so I could use FAFSA industry certifications to prove I could do a job I was already doing. I went and got my master's degree from WGU before they changed the curriculum. And out of that, I got 2 industry certs, my CEIH, my CEH and my ECIH. So certified incident handler and certified ethical hacker. And I was able to leverage, I've got a master's that will substitute me 4 years of experience in this industry I don't have. I actually don't qualify for a CISP yet. I'll qualify April of next year. That'll be my 5-year anniversary. So even though I could pass the test today, I won't qualify for certification, which is crazy still. Like I've got all these things and I've done all this stuff, but there are some things I even still do not qualify for. The certification mindset in cyber is kind of broken. Why do we still have them? Do we use them as a benchmark? Do we use them as an entry point? Do we use them as vocabulary check? What do we use them for? All I say is if you're going to go after a cert, be able to replicate that body of knowledge anywhere. Like if you're going to take Sec Plus, don't just walk away knowing what the CIA triad is. Walk away knowing how to identify, build, and implement a cybersecurity program or document one. A lot of people can't even document one. There are applicable skills out of every cert that you can demonstrate. And if I see someone with a cert who can't demonstrate those skills, I get real scared.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I also went to WGU. Got my bachelor's degree there and then went on for a master's degree at a brick and mortar institution later. For me, I think of path of least resistance when I think about what you're going to use that for. So figure out what you want to do and then figure out the path of least resistance to get there. Right?
I would agree.
Some of us made it into the field with no certs or no degrees. Maril is a shining star in that, right? And it just shows how much the hard work got her there. That isn't going to be the route for everyone to take though, right? And sometimes it's just about that. Hey, if 90% of hiring managers are going to throw out your resume unless you have a cert on there, maybe go get the cert to get past that as an entry block, right?
Yeah. But a lot of people, when I was a pen tester, I was like, what cert should I get to prove I belong here? Because I was like, I want to be this. What cert should I get? And everyone was like, you need an OSCP. Yep. And then the more I looked into its actual curriculum and I looked into the niches I wanted to specialize in. And I was like, why though? Because all this does not apply to all this. Well, it's just the gold standard. Okay, well, not for what I want to do. So I pieced together my own certification curriculum. I got like a few Rapid7 certs. I got Metasploit, AppSpider, Insight VM, like certified. And then I did like Aviatrix, like multi-cloud engineer. I did AWS CCP. I did, again, I took the curriculum for OSWE, even though I never took the test. So, you got to know what you want to get out of each certification and how you're going to apply it to your job.
Absolutely. Let's see. What are your recommendations for how to translate that military experience if you're in a non-technical field like combat engineer, field artillery, supply warehouse tech, you name it?
Get with someone who is in the place where you want to be. Someone like me, someone who was in the military and is now working in cyber, someone who, was in artillery or in ammo and is now working as a TPM, someone whose career path you'd like to mimic. And ask them how they translated it, or get with someone like me who's just really, really good at taking a whole variety of backgrounds and telling you where those might apply. I would have to see, like, did you manage big budgets? Did you manage lots of people? Did you have compliance requirements? And those are things we can translate to a cyber application. So, will you be dealing with, heavy ammo in cyber? No. But will you be dealing with highly sensitive pieces of information and things that can go boom very easily if they're not managed correctly? Yes. So, there's anything can translate from anywhere. I just got to get with you and see what your background is. And I'll do like a controls mapping. I'll just map it right to a job for you.
Yeah. Alfred, if you're not already in VetSec, get in there as well. There are people that Maril's in there.
I'll be more active, I promise.
And I'm pretty sure you were on the resumes and refreshments workshop last night too. So I know that we covered some of that there as well. Yeah, I mean, Matt just mentioned, it is possible to go from combat arms to IT and infosec. Absolutely, right? There are a ton of translatable skills that people coming from the military have that apply to the field, right? The ability to lead, the people. I think that people in the military would be surprised at how well you're going to be able to do a job in a field you haven't been in before, just
Exactly.
from the beginning.
And I was telling Tom on our podcast, I'm an interviewer for Aquia at my company, and we get a lot of military folks who apply because we are a veteran forward business. And I talked to some of them who are really, really good at taking the narrative of what they've done or the impact and the value of what they've done and demonstrating that. And then I've met some people when I'm co-interviewing with someone else who wasn't from the military background who just can't get out of that. They can't get out of that track of thought, and like that's how they frame all of their experience. And I'm like, so really what you're saying is when you did this, it had this impact, this benefit, the program, and but they don't know how to stop talking in skiffs and modules and tokens and things like that. So it's all about how you frame your answers, how you frame your experience, and how relatable you can make it to other people. But I've met pen testers who do that too. I've met pen testers in an executive outbrief where they're like, what was the impact of that? Like, what was the result? And he's like, yeah, let me tell you how I did it. And he's talking about, man, the middle credential capture and the platforms he used and the tech stack and all these things. And I'm like, they don't care about any of that. What they care about is how did this happen and why? And why is it bad? It's all about how you frame certain things, especially coming from the military.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love your take on something John talked about a bit last night, which was, he mentioned don't deselect yourself, in that thinking about what you list or decide to put on your resume. One resume came to mind from last night. Somebody put that they had been I think they put that they had an associate's degree in something to do with firearms.
Okay.
And John mentioned, hey, there are going to be people that are of one lean or another, and that could lead to them throwing out your resume just based on that. Or, somebody has a hobby that, hey, I don't think that has any business with the industry, and they're going to toss a resume based on something like that. As somebody who's coming from a non-traditional background into the field, what are your thoughts on, refraining from listing certain things based on the thought that an employer might toss it based on that?
I would say try to avoid extreme views, but don't just tell people what you did or what your hobby is. Tell them what the impact is. Tell them why it applies. Tell them why it belongs on your resume, why it's beneficial. If you took an FMLA period and spun up an Etsy shop selling crafts, okay, so you were an entrepreneur in charge of not only the overhead, but also manufacturing and distributing the product, right? Like that is applicable experience you can take from that thing that you did. Don't just say I ran an Etsy shop. That's not going to, I meet so many people who are like, I don't understand why I'm not getting bites on my resume. Tell me what's wrong with it. I'm like, what do you want to be? And they're like, I want to be, a program manager or a SOC analyst. And I look at their resume. I'm like, I see a lot of experience on here. None of this is saying program manager to me. None of this is saying engineer. You have highlighted the incorrect things. My very first CISO ever, Bert, his favorite phrase is don't hide the value. Don't make them hunt for it. Like if you think someone should be able to read a sentence and glean that you can do a thing from that sentence, don't. Just say, I can do X because I have Y. Like in college, I went to UCSD, which is a research heavy institution. And, we were all trained in high school not to like state our thesis, obviously. It's like we had to use 3 to 4 flowery sentences to kind of roughly describe what we would be arguing for. And my TA said, if you want an A, make it easy on me. In this paper, I will argue that. I will argue that, my argument, and how you've evidenced it. That's all I want. And I'm like, wow. Get right to the fucking point. Get right to the fucking point. Do it on your resume too. If you want to include those things, do it, but get to the point. And don't assume that they're going to read, oh, I ran an Etsy shop and see that you have entrepreneurial skills. Just fucking say that.
Yeah, I think I have done probably less interviews than Maril has in my role at Cloud Range. But the one thing that I keep seeing when I read is the narrative doesn't tell me what that person wants to do. I can look at it and I'm like, well, they're applying for this job, so I think that's what they want to do, but they aren't saying it. Just be blatant about what you want and make the resume about the work that you're applying for.
And it's tough if you're one of those people who can do anything. Like, right, you come out of the military, you were manager of this shop, they throw you into this shop, you did well. They threw you into this shop, you did well. And now you're like, I've done all these things, I can survive anywhere. So you apply to everything, but your resume just kind of speaks to everything. It's a pain in the ass to tailor, but it's true. Just have like 3 versions of your resume that are roughly boilerplate. I have one for project management, one for like public affairs, marketing type function, and one for like ISO compliance type work, and one for pen testing. So no matter what roughly the function is, it's more geared towards that thing. But you wouldn't see, oh, she's been a pen tester and a purple team program manager, so she can clearly handle that. I spell it out for you. Also, I am known for the overly tenacious, mildly sassy cover letters. Like, I say audacious things in my cover letters because that's your only opportunity to talk to them before they decide if they want to talk to you. That is your opportunity to pitch yourself. And a lot of people don't understand that's the purpose of the cover letter. It's not to summarize your resume. It's to specifically say, you have a problem. I have a unique skill to address that. This is how I will solve your problem. Pay me this much money to solve your problem. So if you guys want to see samples of my cover letters, I've got the one I sent to TCM for you.
We might have to dive into that. Raymond's asking, what are your top 3 strategies to be memorable during an interview, which might go along with that cover letter talk?
Oh, yes. So during an interview, I always say, know what you know and know what you don't. Be upfront about both. So I've done that in every single interview. If I flat out don't know something, I flat out say that. But I also say, let who you are shine through, right? If they're interviewing you, then they think that you've got enough of the core things they need on your resume. They're trying to see if you're a culture fit, and they're trying to see how you think, and if you're going to be a lot of work for them to manage, or if you can just do the freaking job. So let who you are be there. Some of the best interviews I've had where it ended up being more of a conversation, or like, I'm like, tell me about a significant problem you have that this, for your department or for this role, or what its challenge is. And I'm like, how I would solve that? I would blah, 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 blah. Have you tried that? Oh, it's so easy. Here's a quick little roadmap for you. And they walk away being like, that chick solved a problem for me. Not like, tell me about a time that no one cares. So I always say, just be yourself, be honest about your experience and what you do and what you don't have. But also like, say the tenacious things. The reason I got my first job as a risk analyst was because I said, I don't know anything technical today, but I learned very, very quickly. What I don't know today, I will be an expert in forwards, backwards, and upside down by next week. Give me a keyword and just watch. The reason I was able to be a pen tester on no pen testing skills and having been in risk for 3 months is because I said, you already know that I can keep up with this material. You already have seen my performance, and I might not be the pen tester you want today, but you know that in 3 months, I will be the pen tester you wish you had in front of you today. So, I tell them why I deserve the opportunity very unabashedly. That's how you're memorable in interviews. Oh, and when they say, tell me about yourself, for the love of God, do not repeat your resume. Do not say how old you are, what you do, or how many kids you have. That is your opportunity, again, to pitch yourself before they start asking you their stupid HR questions. That is your opportunity to say, I'm Maril Vernon. I have these capabilities. This is what I've done. These are the problems that I solve. This is how I'm uniquely qualified. I believe I can help your organization in such and such a way. Can you tell me about one of those challenges? Can you tell me about one of those problems? And I also say in interviews, what does the ideal candidate for this position look like? If the ideal candidate came in and had a certain set of skills, what are they? Well, I guess it's time management and attention to detail. Oh, great. Let me tell you about how I taught a college course on time management to a bunch of newbies. And then let me tell you about my attention to detail when I found the one deviation, a 300-page document, and saved my freaking department. Ask these blunt things. Stop being afraid to ask for the things that you want to know. And they will remember that interview. It'll work, I guarantee you.
Yeah, it's awesome advice. I think, one, when you're interviewing a large group of people like that, there are people that are going to stand out to you. And so many people don't realize you're interviewing the company too, to find if they're your fit. So ask the questions. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Chris has got a couple. So one, he wants you to confirm you asked them in the interview to tell you about a problem they're facing, and then you help them solve it in the interview.
Yeah, you know how like authors who like want to teach you how to be an author have like their little 1-hour webinars, right? Where they give you some value, but not enough so that you have to hire them and buy their coaching package. That's what I did. Basically, I gave them just enough of a solution to be credible, but not enough of the steps and the actual how I would implement that. And they're like, yeah, that sounds great. I'm like, doesn't that sound great? Pay me this much money and I'll do it for you. So yes, you solve a problem at a very high level, and then you tell them the very, very low or reasonable price that they will get your skills for to solve this problem for them in actuality. Like, I have never been told no, because I'm like, I might cost $1 million, but I'm going to solve a $15 million problem for you. Do you want to hemorrhage $15 million? Then suck it up and pay me what I'm worth.
Fair point. And Chris is also asking what your opinion is on technically specific certifications versus generalized ones, like vendor specific versus a Net Plus or Sec Plus.
Just know how you're going to leverage it. You know, right. I leveraged Rapid7 specific certifications because they were in skills that a pen tester should have. I was able to leverage a very, very generic Sec Plus because I said, out of that, this is what I can do. I can document these things, build this. I can come in where there is nothing and build something, or I can come in where there is something crappy and make it better. I can take you from this maturity point to this maturity point. So I would say I have no preference. Everything is about, again, how you frame it and how you leverage it. And if you truly don't know how to leverage what you've got, please come to my DMs. I'm here for you.
Yeah, I was listening to your podcast with Heath, our founder, a couple of weeks back. And one thing you talked about was, you know, how you got your employer to pay for training, right? Mm-hmm. And it was how you made the business case. And that's what the interview process to me is as well, right? You are presenting to them how you're going to solve the problem that they have, that you've already researched and you know they have. And these are the skills you bring. And this is how you're going to help their bottom line, not just be a money sink for them.
Tell them how it's a win for you, a win for them, and a win for their customer. That's it. If you can do those things, you'll get anything you want in life. I know.
Absolutely. Alrighty. Well, I think the questions are starting to die down. I'd love to give everyone a little bit of break before we get started with the sessions. Maril, again, thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. And thank you all for listening. I love this group. I love this org. I love my people. So it's nice to be here with you all today.
All right. And for everybody that's tuning in, we'll be back at 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 o'clock Eastern with our first set of sessions. So go check them out. Hop in the event chat and get to networking. Post your LinkedIn, and I'll leave it with takeaways for Maril.
Yeah, don't be shy. Add me on LinkedIn for any reason. If you're completely introverted, you don't have to say anything to me. You don't have to justify why you want to be in my connection. You don't have to justify why you want to be in my network. Just add me. DM me at any time. Don't feel like I'm just asking you for something. That's what I'm here for. So connect with me, ask me. And my final takeaways are, again, remember how to give yourself the unfair advantage, because as a veteran, you are one. Not to mention, you're also a demographic advantage, right? A lot of people have equal opportunity employment things they need to fulfill. Leverage that to get in if you need to. Whatever you have that gives you something other people don't, freaking use that and do not feel bad about it. I know we're all humble and thank you for your service and oh, it was my pleasure and whatever, but like, go out there and seize the things that you deserve and demand them, because as veterans, we are one of the groups of people who deserve it the most. And you can have it if you know how to ask for it the right way. And if you don't know how to value prop yourself, please, again, get with someone like Tom, get with someone like Heath, get with someone like me who has been where you are, but is where you want to be. And there are lots of people like that out there. My own founders are all veterans and constantly have their DMs open too. So there is someone out there who will help you and give you the time. It's one of the ways I pay it forward. Someone gave me their time. So I'm still in VetSec Slack. That's a great place to reach me where you don't get bogged down in DMs. But those are my takeaways for you. I hope to see you all here. No matter what your problem is, if you don't know how to rewrite your resume, if you're applying for jobs and hearing nothing, if you don't know what to study, I'll answer any questions. No questions too small.
All right. Thanks again, everybody. And we'll be back soon.
Bye.